We're very interested at Southern Virginia University in developing the whole person.
I think we're building a tradition of character and a tradition of excellence, and we're doing it one athlete at a time.
Southern Virginia University is a place where you can be passionate about your education, committed to excellence as an athlete, and never compromise your faith.
Southern Virginia has challenged and engaged us, but now we have to continue on our own. We must use our talents.
Fellow graduates, our education at Southern Virginia has been replete with wow moments.
You are not ordinary. You have a great work to do in one of the most extraordinary times in the history of our civilization.
We've learned that the art of reaching graduation is sometimes quite simply the art of applying the seat of the pants to the seat of the chair.
You should be very proud that you are about to graduate from Southern Virginia University, an experiment in excellence, in values-based education, indeed, an institution of higher learning. And I mean that in the sense that you have been tutored in all that is uplifting, moral, and ennobling to the human character.
We have been given the knowledge, the tools, and all the secrets to become successful and achieve any and every goal that we put our minds to. When Dr. Martin Luther King spoke about having a dream, he was only envisioning what Southern Virginia University is and what it always will be. A place where a person of any race, nation, color, or creed can look back and call home.
What has wowed me about my Southern Virginia education has been the small moments in which my professors have taught me something that many in the world do not know, that scholarship without discipleship is empty.
Every experience that you have is there to teach you and to move you into being more of who you really are.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I got up before 6 o'clock after staying up till almost 1 o'clock. Got on a bus, came up here to the temple.
I think that it's really great for the school to have a day off. It shows the students that the temple and service are a priority.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, my day was fantastic.
Yeah, we spent it in here doing the lights, which was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
We were able to go in and do baptisms today.
Today I did an endowment session.
I've never been in the Washington, D.C. temple to do baptisms.
I was talking to one of my friends at a different school, and she was like, man, that's so awesome that you guys get to skip class to go to the temple.
Being a leader servant a lot of times isn't being out in the front, it's doing the quiet little things like doing these lights.
It helps me balance and figure out kind of a sense of priority in everything I'm doing.
Serving is so simple and selfless, and it's just so important to apply in your life, and it's nice to know that the school feels the same way.
It's not a day about me, I guess. It's a day about doing work for somebody else.
Just the fact that we're following Christ, and He is the ultimate leader servant.
You don't think of time when you're in the temple, as 3 hours went by so fast. I walked out and I felt like it was only 5 minutes I was in there.
I think going to the temple makes you a better leader servant because, for me it was a great sacrifice to come today, and I think sacrifice is part of service, part of being a leader.
I don't know of any other schools that have a temple day in the middle of the semester. I think it's a Southern Virginia tradition.
Everybody goes to law school thinking that there are these big thick books that have the law in them. Actually, what you learn in law school is not a bunch of very, very specific legal rules. What you learn in law school is a way of thinking and making arguments.
I think most people who go to law school, when they initially apply, your assumption is you're going to be a lawyer. But the training of law could be enormously helpful and valuable in another career. Law school is all about taking disparate facts and things that are sometimes very foreign to you and being able to get your mind around them quickly to develop an argument and then be able to make a compelling argument.
You need to be really comfortable reading and analyzing difficult texts. So any kind of undergraduate education that involves reading, understanding, and analyzing a difficult book is going to be useful in law school.
Lawyers, by their very nature, are researchers. They have to research what the law is so that they can argue a particular point.
One of the most important things is to be able to be a critical thinker.
You should be able to identify the premises in an argument, understand how it is that they support a conclusion, be able to pick them apart.
And the other thing you need to know how to do is write.
Particularly the ability to write persuasive or argumentative kind of writing.
I think those are two things that Southern Virginia University stresses.
Law school professors are famous for using what's called the Socratic method. They'll pick on an unexpected student and engage in a continual round of questions. Here I came from this little school in the backwoods of Virginia. How on earth was I going to compete with these brilliant students with outstanding, prestigious educations? And I quickly learned that my education at Southern Virginia, where I received really one-on-one mentorship and teaching, more than prepared me to compete against some of the brightest students.
Being at Southern Virginia, where I had professors who would challenge me with large amounts of reading and large amounts of material, and to be able to articulate those positions back to the professor the next day was it's been extremely helpful in my career as a lawyer.
There's a wide variety of students that are applying to law school from Southern Virginia and getting into law school.
We end up needing to talk about who's a professor who knows you well enough to write a really good recommendation. And I make it clear to students, you need to ask a professor, would you feel comfortable writing a positive recommendation for me? Every student that wants to get advice from a faculty advisor has their own faculty advisor.
We want to identify those students who are interested in law school, and we want to give them the best advising possible.
The ancient Roman poet Horace coined the phrase dulce et utile, which translates as sweet and useful, to describe what great literature, great art, and I would say a great education should be.
Southern Virginia is well situated to promote your intellectual growth, your social growth, and your ability to manage your time.
Professors actually know the names of all their students, and you sit in small classrooms, not big auditoriums. It is an intimate education. It's small.
If you apply to a couple schools that you're particularly strong for their student body, a couple schools that you're right on what they're thinking of in terms of GPA and LSAT, and a couple that may be a stretch, but you think they're a good fit for particular reasons and you can articulate that, you will get admitted to law school. You'll get admitted to more than one law school. And then we can talk about, well, which one of these truly is going to be the better fit for you.
When you leave, you can name all your professors and the classes they had, and they can name you. And you know all your colleagues. And you've never been in a learning situation where there's 900 people in an auditorium, and there's a lecturer up front that you've never met and who doesn't have a clue who you are. You'll never have that learning experience at Southern Virginia.
We need basic health care, and so many people obviously aren't getting it. And so I love being involved in a program where we help people have access to that.
I had no idea that there were so many people with such intense, such large problems.
People look forward to RAND. Why? Because they've been suffering with toothaches or whatever else it is, and now they have some hope to get some things taken care of.
About 80% of all of the patients who come to our events in the United States are here to get their teeth fixed, or because they need a pair of glasses. Very few of the people that come to these events are here actually to see a medical doctor. But the truth of the matter is they all need to see a medical doctor because they've got all kinds of other ailments.
It's not based on where you live, how much money you make, what job you have or don't have. There's absolutely nothing you have to prove or convince anyone of before you can get care.
When I formed the organization many, many years ago, it was for the purpose of taking airborne medical teams to that part of South America, the upper Amazon. I was amazed to find that there were so many people here in America that were like those people that I grew up with in the Amazon that didn't have access to health care or couldn't afford it.
So many people, they may not be able to see, but to them that's normal. And there's no way they would be able to get that pair of glasses without RAMP.
I'm disabled now. I've only been disabled for 3 months, and without a job or anything. Yeah, I needed glasses, so I couldn't get them anywhere else.
There's so many people that come to RAND because they simply can't afford health care.
If uninsured people come to my emergency room, if they can't be seen for whatever reason, there's 10 other emergency rooms they can drive to. There's all sorts of resources. Out here, if the RAND clinic didn't show up, these people wouldn't have any other choices.
Literally scratching from day to day, and would have to take care of their substance to pay for this dental care if they wanted to, just went, you gotta take care of it at a private clinic.
We had a 9-year-old kid that came in and he wanted glasses. He walks out to the door of the clinic and he puts his glasses on and he looks at the things on the tree and he asks his mother, what are those things that are on that tree? That's more than any dollars that anybody could ever pay for it.
I know that if I take these steps right now in my life to help people when I can and in whatever ways that I can, that will be something I can more easily continue once I leave SVU.
If people know that you are not afraid to go that extra mile to work, and they've seen you go that extra mile, they're much more inclined to do it themselves.
Service should be a way of life, should just be something we do as citizens.
We're very interested at Southern Virginia University in developing the whole person.
I think we're building a tradition of character and a tradition of excellence, and we're doing it one athlete at a time.
Southern Virginia University is a place where you can be passionate about your education, committed to excellence as an athlete, and never compromise your faith.
Jim Bresnahan, joined by Mike Harmon, back here at the barn at the Knight Sports Arena, getting ready to bring you game number 2 of this doubleheader. In the first game, it was the Southern Virginia women holding on to beat York 66-64 in game number 2. In the men's contest, it'll be a York team 4-18 on the season, 3-12 in the Capital Conference, facing a Southern Virginia team that is 3-12 in the Capital Conference, Mike, and 5-16 overall in the season.
And they've been playing really well over the last 2-3 games that we've seen them play. Really starting to gel together. Too bad it's so late in this season, but maybe this coming together will carry over in the next season.
Let's talk about the latest victory at Frostburg this past Wednesday. A very good effort by a lot of Knights. Aaron Rumbaugh, as you mentioned, played very well. Also, of course, Michael Newfield had a monster game against Frostburg. A few others. Kevin Walker had a good game. Taylor Larson, and also Langford had a good game.
Yeah, especially Michael. It's nice to see him be able to stay in the game long enough to really have an impact on the game.
Well, you can see, I guess, when you look forward to future seasons, not just from a scoring standpoint, but a rebounding standpoint, what he's capable of.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent. Again, it's just learning how to play with that talent without fouling. And this is a learning season for him. The men's team is very young. Michael is going to be a big asset to him for the rest of his career here. So seeing him progress is a nice thing.
So, again, as we've talked about, really since the loss of Preston Eaton and Wes Evans, and also Kaylee Manuela, that the Tony Caputo, the entire coaching staff for the Knights, they're trying to find the right combination today. They're not going to be without the services of David Beatty. So even today, they're going to be looking for who's going to step up. What kind of combination are we looking at today?
Well, there were some issues that went on up at Frostburg. David Beatty only played about 23 minutes in the game, whether because of foul or injury. We don't know. We haven't looked into that yet. So they were able to win that game without him on the floor for an extended period of time.
Right.
So it looks like they may be finding those right pieces, and Aaron Rumbaugh has been kind of a newfound threat for them.
So we are getting ready for game number 2 for the doubleheader as the Knights again look to pull off a doubleheader sweep just as they did last weekend. We're just a few minutes away from the tip-off. We've got the national anthem and the religious prayer coming up first. So we'll take a little break and get you ready for York and also Southern Virginia men's basketball right after this short timeout. Quick check of the starting lineups. First of all, for the York Spartans out of guard slot, it'll be a freshman, Matt Scamuffo. He'll be joined by a junior guard and Chris Conway. And then looking on down the roster, we've got also starting today a freshman guard for York. It'll be Mike Duffy. And then they get pretty big inside. They got Dalton Myers, 6'7", 215 at a forward slot. He's a sophomore. And then the really big freshman, Max Bell, 6'6", 225. So a challenge inside for the Knights with players like Myers and Bell.
Well, it could be a challenge because they're so big, but also they're very young and very inexperienced. So are they going to be able to play with smart movements and get us into foul trouble, or are they going to be very out of control and get into foul trouble early on in the game?
And the 5 starters today for the Southern Virginia University Knights. At one slot, it's going to be the junior, the shooting guard, Kyle Dragnich. And Dragnich has been playing pretty good lately.
Kyle's been very consistent for the Knights. Again, junior college transfer. He brings a lot of game knowledge to the Knights.
Another one starting today, junior Kevin Walker, shooting guard. Kevin Walker, he's been kind of been up and down. When he's really been on, he's had really good games.
Yeah, the one thing we can always say about Kevin is he's very full of energy. whether he can control that energy or not, that's going to really determine how the Knights run up and down the floor.
And the other three starters will be all freshmen in Taylor Larson, Aaron Rumbaugh, and Michael Neufville. And again, the Knights without the services today of David Beatty. Still, though, a lot of the Knights who had outstanding efforts on Wednesday are ready to go here today, including Rumbaugh, Neufville, and also Walker and Larson, all starting today. And another guy I'm sure we'll see off the bench who played very well as well on Wednesday at Frostburg was Justin Langford.
Yeah, and again, with all these freshmen, they're not freshmen anymore. You're at the end of the season. They've been through the wars, so they're just basketball players now. And it's nice to see them starting to get some success and have that emphasis going forward into the next season.
And the men's team again coming in 5-16 on the season. Again, repeating in the first game today in the women's contest, it was Southern Virginia holding on for a 66-64 victory. And so the women's team having a little run here towards the end of the season. Of course, they won last Saturday, won this Saturday today against York. They won on Monday against Mid-Atlantic Christian. They had a very close call and very narrow loss on Wednesday at Frostburg.
And we were looking at some scores earlier on. Frostburg actually had Salisbury tied up at halftime. Salisbury, though, showed that senior-laden team that they have and just blew Frostburg out later on in the game.
And we are ready to go. The opening tip goes to the Knights.
You know, we don't have as big a crowd as we usually do for the Knights because we do have baseball and men's lacrosse going on at the same time today.
Baseball, I believe, doubleheader, and the men in the lacrosse taking on Hood as Walker gets the Knights off to a good start with a long three.
And again, as Kevin Walker goes, it seems like the Knights really just follow his lead. If he plays in control, the Knights play in control. If he's trying to get out of control, then we can see some problems.
Larson knocks the ball out from Conway. Still York basketball. Here's Mike Duffy with it. Now Myers with the opening tip. Long three, going to be taken outside, up and in by Scamuffo. He ties the game at three. So York comes right back after the Walker three, hitting a three of its own.
And both teams are playing a zone, and both teams found the opening in that zone and took advantage of it first thing.
Aaron Rumbaugh, who didn't get a lot of playing time, Mike, in the very beginning of the season, obviously starting today as the Knights not able to hit their Taylor Larson missing from the baseline.
And he gives you a very long, lean person out there on the floor that if he fills in some, he can be a really good talent for the Knights.
How tough is it to get some of these lanky, tall players, 6'3", 6'6", that sort of thing, to fill in during the offseason?
Well, they can put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and you won't even know it. It's usually by their junior year that they really start to fill out and hit their potential.
Let's get the turnover and get the ball back. This 3-3 ball game. Dragnich now over to the right to Walker, who fires another three. Missed that one. Didn't follow his shot, and the rebound goes away to Duffy of York.
Well, Walker's really not supposed to follow a shot. He's the point guard. He has to get back to give that defensive balance, and if he didn't, that would have been a nice run out for the York Spartans.
York Spartans came in struggling this season, and in this basketball game, here is Duffy kicking it back outside to Scamuffo. He threw it away nearly, but got the loose ball back. Shot clock is at 8 for York. They came in 3-12 in the conference, 4-18 overall. And down the lane, Conway on a move, fouled, and the foul goes against, I believe, is it going to be Dragnich or Neufville?
No, got it on Michael Neufville.
Yep. And that's the key, as you mentioned, Mike, whether Neufville can avoid foul trouble and stay in the game and play a lot of minutes.
Yeah, if he stays in the game, he's kind of like Crystal Cleveland. He can make so many things happen for the Knights just by being on the floor. When he comes out of the game, the Knights seem to struggle a little bit, especially scoring on the inside.
York with its first lead. Conway's second shot is good. Hits them both, and the Spartans now on top here by 2. Knights have the 1 3-pointer by Walker so far in the opening minutes. and really having a hard time penetrating this York defense. Newfield's got it near the top of the key.
And I would expect that if York stays in this 2-3 zone that they're playing for a long amount of time, that we see Cody Hosier come in and find some soft spots in this zone and for him to get up his shots.
Give and go there. Didn't work out. Turnover for the Knights. Yeah, Hosier had that one big ball game. Was that back in January, I think? Just a monster game where he had, 6 or 7 threes? I can't remember the exact figures.
I think he had 6, 4 or 5 of them in a row.
Hoping he can come in and maybe get hot from three-point range to bust the zone.
And that would add another dimension to the Knights offense, which would really free up Larson and Newfield on the inside.
Here's Bell on a move to the basket, but he left it short. Good defense by Newfield, who also got the rebound. Walker, nice no-look pass to Dragic, and he puts it up and in. Good pass by Walker as he looked off the defense before he made that throw down low to Dragic.
And also you see some of the experience of Dragic knowing that he had taller players around him. A little shot fake got them up into the air, and then he was able to bank it in.
Conway hits from the baseline. He's got 4 points. 7-5. York back on top. Rumbaugh's got it left side. He lost the ball, tipped away by York, out of bounds. Still Knights basketball.
You know, this is a little bit of a contrast to the women's game where we saw so much struggling to try to get the offensive continuity going on so far in this game. Both teams very good outside shooting.
Dragic has it. He has not shot too many threes this season. Kyle, left side, lost the ball, stolen away. York with the ball and a 2-point lead. Conway, who's got 4 points, goes baseline and is fouled as Evan Mosley will check in for the Knights' first substitution of the game as Dragic will check out of the game. That foul was on Larson. So 2 team fouls on the Knights. No foul so far here in this basketball game for York.
And York seems to be able to penetrate the Knights zone a whole lot easier than the Knights can penetrate the York zone.
Inbounds pass comes to Conway. Conway works on Rumbaugh outside. Now Duffy with it. Scamufo working on Mosley. Ball almost knocked away. Ball goes instead to Myers. Down low to Conway. Shoots, fouled by Rumbaugh. Didn't get the basket, but picked up the contact, and Rumbaugh picks up the foul. 3rd team foul the Knights, and 2 foul shots coming up here for Conway, who looks very athletic and already has 4 points. The junior is 6'2", 195 pounds.
And again, he's running that back line against the zone. He comes in from behind it. The players don't know where he's at, and has a nice array of shot fakes to get other people off balance, and then takes advantage of that.
And he gets the first foul shot to go. So he's got 5. It's a 3-point lead for York.
And Coach Hunter for the Spartans has to be really happy with the quick start that the Spartans have got out with.
4-point lead for the Spartans, 9-5. Of course, York won the ball game at York last month. Knights have really struggled up until here recently in the Capital Conference, but they've been able to pick up some conference victories as Walker scores inside.
And that was a nice attack of the rim by Kevin Walker. Able to get the ball off the reversal and quickly penetrate the zone.
In fact, coming in today, Mike, it was Southern Virginia, Harrisburg, and York all tied for the basement at 3-12 in the conference.
Yeah, one of these teams will leave the other one in the basement.
And Harrisburg, I'm not sure where they're playing today.
We'll check that out.
Mary Washington, of course, will be the next opponent for both the men's and women's team. That'll be a road game on Wednesday. And then the regular season coming to a close with that home doubleheader against St. Mary's next Saturday. Newfield's fouled from behind. And let's see if Dalton Myers picks up this foul for York. Going to be Myers picking it up.
Harrisburg is playing at Mary Washington. Right now, Mary Washington is up on them 26-18. So it looks like whoever wins this game will be in sole 7th place. Or 8th place.
And Mary Washington, of course, has really struggled in men's basketball. They're number 2, though, in women's basketball, right behind Salisbury.
And that will be a huge test for the Knights as they go play there against the women of Mary Washington.
Yeah, I know they'd love to wrap up the season with a couple of wins, but that's going to be tough to do against Mary Washington at St. Mary's. 10 on the shot clock for the Knights, who trail by 2. Foul line jumper for Larson, and he hits and ties the game at 9.
You know, and that type of patience we didn't see earlier on in the season from the Knights. They've really grown. Like I said, these freshmen aren't freshmen anymore. They're just ball players now. And you can tell that they've really learned and grown together.
9-9. Pass comes inside. Jump shot up and in by York as Crosby hits. And he puts York back on top, 11-9. Knights trying to even the ball game again here after having it tied at 9 and now down 11-9. Walker's open for a 3, and he hits. And the Knights are back on top by 1 now, 12-11, as Walker's got a couple of threes today.
And the Knights are doing a great job against that 2-3 zone, either passing or now they're starting to penetrate and kick a little bit better, not trying to get too deep and finding the open man.
If that continues, Mike, how long will York stay in the zone as Blade Reich is able to turn around and score and put York back on top?
If they keep on trading baskets, expect them to stay in it as long as they are right there with them. This may be the way that York just plays, is they are a zone team.
Rumbaugh inside with the basket. Nice layup, and the Knights are back on top here, 14-13. Langford getting ready to check in for the Knights now, the 12:40 mark, as the Knights have a 1-point lead in this ball game. Fouls not a problem so far in this first half. Just 3 team fouls on Southern Virginia, only 1 on York. Shot is no good by York. The Knights pull away the rebound with a 1-point lead. Mosley up court in a hurry. Back to Walker, who's already got a couple of threes today. Walker's short jumper there, off the glass, good. 3-point lead for the Knights.
Like I said, as long as Kevin Walker stays in control and that pull-up jump shot shows that he is in full control of his game tonight, the Knights have a great chance of coming out with these 3 wins in a row.
This is amazing the way Walker, sometimes he'll have a lot of turnovers, sometimes no points to speak of, and then another time maybe 15, 20 points and a lot of assists and very little in the way of turnovers. Shot is finally pulled down by the Knights after the miss by York.
With Kevin, it's all about controlling his speed and his emotions. And if he can control his speed and not let the speed control him, he's an excellent player.
And the Knights have a 3-point lead. Down at 1 point in this first half by 4, now on top by 3. Shot clock near 10. Rumbaugh on his way to the basket, traveled with it. So Langford and Dragnich back in. Langford's first appearance today. Dragnich was a starter. 3-point lead right now for the Knights with 11:23 to go, 16-13.
Yeah, we have a timeout on the floor now. But again, the Knights look really good tonight. I'm very impressed with the way that they're running their offense. Defensively, they're allowing only 1 shot. Sometimes a little bit too many penetrating passes for me, but offensively and defensively, they look very composed and under control.
And you like the way both the men's and women's team are really playing down the stretch, especially when you consider the fact because, Ann Kuroki, the only senior for the women's team, and because of all the personnel losses, Eaton and Evans to speak of, we've got nothing but freshmen or perhaps underclassmen, I guess, for the most part, obviously, coming back. No seniors to speak of.
No seniors to speak of, but
active seniors. And I was thinking, actually, obviously next Saturday in the St. Mary's contest, of course, Ann Kuroki, I assume, will be honored next Saturday, and Wes Evans.
But, again, this is a unique university, as we see a lot of players cycle through here. You have the players that will go on missions. You have some players that will get married and may not return, or you have some that just have changed majors that don't really go with what we have here at Southern Virginia. And so you know, if we held on to players for 2 years, we're very thankful. 3 years, we're ecstatic, and we get those 4-year players.
Sort of like Crystal Cleveland for 3 years, yeah.
And that's when you really start to see your team start to take off as those players that stick around for 4 years.
How about these shooting percentages, Mike, early on? 7 of 9 for the Knights. And they've also got a slight rebounding edge of 4-2.
Well, I don't expect a 77% shooting percentage to stick throughout the game, but this is a great start for the Knights, and as long as they can keep on producing good shots, this is the way we want to see them play.
Kevin Walker, 4 out of 5, 2 out of 3 from three-point range. He's the leading scorer in the game with 10. And the Knights have a chance to build upon a 3-point lead here. Pass down low to Langford, and a foul called on York. Going to go against Straitman for York.
New 35-second on the clock, and we've seen the Knights be very patient.
Non-shooting foul. Knights will take it out of bounds. Dragnich way outside to Walker. Walker 4 out of 5 already from the floor. 2 of 3 from three-point range. Walker will fire another 3 and hit. And he is on fire right now.
He is feeling extremely good, and you know, you just pull for this young man. You've seen him be really up. You've seen him be really down, and
right now you seriously have to ask, Mike, is how long is York going to stay in the zone, or how long are they going to allow Walker to have an open look from the top of the key?
Well, that's one of the problems of playing the zone is if you move the ball fast enough, you can find those open lanes to get shots in. They'll probably try to either extend the zone, and if they're not a good man-to-man team, they won't come out of that zone at all.
Mosley, good play to get the steal, and on the floor, get it over to Nuffield to maintain possession of the ball for the Knights, who have a 6-point lead and trying to build upon it now. Yeah, looks like York is going to stay in that zone, Mike.
Yeah, they may be like Syracuse, and this is their base defense. They believe in it, and they're hoping that the shooting percentages start to drop and average back out.
Walker with a turnover there. He tried to get it to Langford, threw it away instead, so it's a 6-point lead, and now York with it back. York losing the ball on a drive to the basket by Olsen, stolen away by the Knights. Cross-court pass from Walker to Mosley. Knights trying to get maybe other players involved in this offense, maybe like a Nuffield, because right now 13 of the 19 points belong to Kevin Walker.
Well, you can see they're starting to play out on Kevin Walker also.
Walker, nice pass to Dragnich. In amongst the trees. Nice pass over to Langford. He scores. And now the Knights lead by 8 points.
And as long as the Knights keep cutting, again, they can find those open spots in the zone. As long as they keep moving. When they start to stay still, the zone becomes really good.
Travel to call on Brad Westner, sophomore guard from York. And now things are starting to unravel big time for the Spartans, who led early by 4, but are now down by 8. And here comes Cody Hozier into the game for the first time. So you got maybe the best three-point threat replacing with obviously the best player on the floor here in the first 11 minutes.
Yeah, Kevin has been the best player on either team on the floor tonight. And like I said, bringing in Cody Hozier, who we know once he gets wide open shots, he's going to put them in the basket.
And Conway also checks back in for York. He's been their best player early on. He's got 6 of the 13 points for York. Nuffield gets it down low, backs his way in, too far underneath the basket, got jammed, his shot jamming underneath the basket. Got blocked actually that time by the backboard, not at the player.
Yeah, and that's just a little impatience by Michael. Hasn't touched the ball at all during the game and just wanted to have something to do.
8-point lead right now for the Knights, and Reich had his pocket picked, or Myers did, by Dragnich, but it looks like the foul will go against the Knights.
Oh, and they called it on Michael again.
Yeah, I thought Dragnich got him, but it looks like it's going to be Nuffield, and he picks up foul number 2. So now decision time for Tony Caputo with 8:50 to go, or 8:20 to go. Does he leave him out there? It looks like he's going to pull Nuffield and bring in Thornton.
Yeah, that's with the lead, you go ahead and pull him out. No brainer right there. Plus, we've seen Kyle Thornton come in and have good games for the Knights.
This foul shot by Dalton Myers, the 6'7", 215-pound sophomore. One more shot coming, trying to cut into this 8-point lead for the Knights. Second shot on the way, good. 7-point lead right now for Southern Virginia.
And
8:15 to go.
You're starting to see the Spartans really starting to extend that zone now.
How important then maybe to dribble through the zone?
Well, that's going to open up a lot more passing angles and driving angles for the Knights.
They move it to the left corner to Dragic, and he cannot hit from the corner. Rebound York. One shot only there for the Knights.
You know, and this, again, that's what the Spartans are hoping, that the Knights cool down enough that the law averages start to come back into play.
Chris Conway on the baseline. Back outside. Westner, three. No good. Rebound Mosley. Rimmed out for York.
It'd be nice if they could find Cody Hosier in transition. He can really get the shot up easily then and have some nice rebounding opportunities for the rest of the Knights.
Cody thought about taking the three with a man in his face. Did not shoot that ball. Mosley driving to Thornton. Thornton inside, missing. Had a good look at a shot inside and could hit it just a little too hard, Mike.
Yeah, coming off the bench, it's very hard to hit that first shot when you've only been in there for 30 seconds or so. But again, Kyle shows that he has a lot of strength in there to make those type of plays.
Conway, foul line jumper. He looks pretty good. He's got 8 points now. 8 of the 16 points for York. And it's a 5-point lead for the Knights. Hosier had a look at a three, but didn't take it. Now Dragic with it. Back to Hosier. He'll fire this time. It hits.
And all Cody needs is a little sliver of light. And that little back screen that they set for him on that skip pass will open him up continually.
So Hosier hits from outside. Hosier and Walker hitting from three-point range in this first half for the Knights, who now lead again by 8, 24-16. As Walker gets ready to check back in, and York throws the ball away. Timeout on the court, 6:20 to go till halftime, and the Knights again with an 8-point lead here, Mike, at 24-16.
And again, we're starting to see, you know, even though the Spartans have tried to expand that zone, a little back screen, all Cody Hosier needs is half a second to get that shot up, and he's usually very accurate. Defensively is where I'm more impressed with the Knights, as they're allowing one shot only, and doing a great job of checking people out on the defensive rebounds.
That's really been the outside shooting with Walker and, of course, Hosier with that three-pointer. Nuffield just really hasn't been involved in the offense, seemingly, and they just haven't been able to find a way to get him involved so far. But, of course, now he's got these fouls and on the bench.
And the inside players just need to be patient. When the three-point shooters are hot, they need to let them be hot and just recognize that that's going to open them up later on in the game. They'll be able to expand the zone out and now create one-on-one moves down on the post for them and not allow any kind of double teams. So the post players just have to be a little bit patient, let Cody and let Kyle hit those three-point shots, and just be happy for them that they're going to draw double teams, and it won't be you drawing the double teams.
I mentioned in the first game, the women were able to knock off York, Southern Virginia University women's team, winning 66-64 today. And we'll see if we get any score updates in the next hour or two before we wrap things up here in game number 2 with respect to men's baseball and also men's lacrosse in action today.
Yeah, I saw some lacrosse players come in. I saw one of the assistant coaches come in. So the game must be over or close to being over, and we'll try to find them and get a score update on that, and then maybe try to text somebody and find out what's going on with the baseball game.
Because they're playing a doubleheader, I believe.
Doubleheader today.
Southern Vermont.
Yes. And this type of weather, I'm sure Southern Vermont thinks it's very
Balmy.
warm, very warm to them.
Yeah, if it was a team from Boston, you'd really have some joke material, right? Hosier, long three, blocked that time by Alsted, who traveled with the ball trying to control it. So Alsted, the sophomore, blocked Hosier's shot and then tried to corral the ball and ends up walking with it, so the ball goes right back to the Knights. So Hosier gets a lesson there that you need to have an open look, because Alsted, 6'1", was able to jump and actually block that shot. Still an 8-point lead here for the Knights, and we are now down to 5:58 to go till halftime. Walker lost the ball. on the pass from Dragic, but the loose ball picked up by Hosier. Near turnover. Knights still have it with still plenty of time on the shot clock, down to 18. Larson, collapsing defense by the Knights, or the Spartans. Here is Walker to Hosier, open, left corner, missed it. Hit the deck, no foul call. Larson picks up the loose ball and scores. Dragic was able to knock that ball over to Larson, and now it's a 10-point lead.
And that's great recognition by Kyle, knowing that he couldn't grab the ball cleanly for the offensive rebound, just able to tip it up in the air, and Langford's able to go ahead and take it in for the score.
Dalton Myers scoring inside. And maybe York, sensing that Neufville is no longer in there defensively, maybe going to try to go inside here in the final 5 minutes, as they did there. Lead right now 8 points. Thornton along the baseline. And he almost got the shot to go on a reverse layup, fouled. Would have been a heck of a shot to complete that three-point play, because he was working against 2 or 3 defenders and he didn't have a whole lot of space to work with.
And that takes a lot of upper body strength to get that reverse layup even up to the rim. So going through 3 players hanging on him, great strength by Kyle Thornton.
And we talked so much about Neufville being a big inside player, but Thornton is actually an inch taller and about 20 pounds heavier, at least according to the roster.
Yeah, and the only thing that Michael has over Kyle is Michael's a little bit more mobile, a little bit better footwork. But if those two stay and they grow together, they can be such a dominant force on the inside.
Little twin towers, right?
Yes.
10-point lead. Thornton hitting both foul shots, and the Knights have a 28-18 lead with the clock down to 4:47 to go at halftime. And a steal. Walker picks up the loose ball. Good, clean pickup. Layup, good! Boy, Walker, I don't know what was more impressive, the layup or that he was able to grab that ball on the dead run cleanly, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people that can really run past Walker. Once he gets his head and shoulders past you, he's going to go to the rim if he's got the open lane.
Yeah, there's a steal by Walker. Outlet pass to Dragic, but just not there. Rumball tips it over to Dragic. Back to Rumball. Good. These last 2 plays have been like season highlights films.
It has, and you can tell that they really are starting to enjoy each other now. They're starting to settle in. This is the team that they have. They've played with each other long enough now. Again, Coach Caputo has got to be so excited about the future of the Knights. But again, we talked earlier about some of those issues that go on with the uniqueness of our university, that some of these guys may be leaving for LDS missions, and we won't see them again for another 2 years.
And that's really a tough to deal with.
It is, especially when you start building around those freshmen. Your hope is that they come back off their LDS missions. They're a little bit more mature then. Their bodies have grown some.
I don't know if is it for sure now that they can, right out of high school, go on to missions and get it all out of the way before they go to college?
They can.
Which obviously I would imagine a lot of coaches would favor.
They would favor that.
Because then you get them uninterrupted.
Exactly, and that's always a great thing. But you know, if a young man or a young woman tells you, "Hey, I want to come for a year," you're not going to tell them no. You want them there. You want them to become part of the team and become part of what your program really is, and that just helps them as they go on that mission. They have extra people that can get in touch with them and keep them going.
Now, has anybody ever figured out the percentage of people who go on missions and come back and play, and those who don't?
Oh, there's a number there, and and we can try to ask our
or perhaps I guess those who come back and play either as good or better before they left.
Well, we can look right now at Larissa Conger.
Yeah,
right. Playing just as good as she did before she left on her mission. So it's not really going on a mission is detrimental to your playing ability. But sometimes your priorities change when you're gone for 2 years and you start thinking about other things.
It is a 14-point lead right now for Southern Virginia as we are down to the 4-minute mark in this first half. 32-18, Knights on top. Scamofo with it for the Spartans. Myers to Duffy. Pass down low to Bell, and he scores. Max Bell, 6'6", 225 freshman. That's his first basket today.
Now, at the pace that both the Knights and the Spartans are playing, this really favors the Knights, especially if they go into halftime with a lead. It's going to be really hard for the Spartans to mount a huge comeback.
Here's Rumball firing from outside, and he hits a three-pointer. So I believe now 3 Knights have hit threes. Walker, Hosier, now Rumbaugh. 15-point lead for Southern Virginia. And there's a steal. Bad pass by York. Knights trying to build upon what is now a 15-point lead. Well, they'd love to have this up around 20 or 22 by halftime.
Oh, if they go in by 20 or more points, there's hardly any way conceivable that we can see the Spartans come back.
Thornton down low, works free, scores, hit on the arm. Thornton fouled by Conway, and Thornton, who just kept working in there, has a chance here at a 3-point play to maybe make it an 18-point ball game.
And when you look at Thornton, you're looking at his shoulders, basically. That's the first thing that stands out as a basketball player is how wide are your shoulders. And he can carve out so much room with those shoulders and then his hips that he doesn't really need to push off or anything, and he does a fabulous job using those two assets that he has. 18-point
lead now for Southern Virginia. After York started the ball game in the opening minutes with anywhere from a 2 to 4-point lead, now they're down by 18. 3-pointer by York is an air ball. Conway gets the loose ball rebound. Passes down low. Shot is no good. Good challenge by the Knights, but they're going to be called for a foul.
And now the key for the Knights is going to be making sure they keep the Spartans in front of them, making sure that it's a contested shot and not try to come in from the side to block anything. Just have them shoot over the top of you, turn, rebound, secure the ball, secure the win.
And Larson picked up his second foul. He's going to be coming out, it looks like, for Langford. First shot, no good. So Larson is out. Langford is in. You've got Langford out there along with Walker, Thornton, Dragnich.
And Aaron Rumbaugh.
And Rumbaugh still out there.
Like I said, Aaron's kind of skinny. He was hiding behind number 50, Max Bell, and you couldn't see him.
And the second shot is good. So now it's a 17-point lead here for the Knights. They won the women's game 66-64, on top by 17 here in the men's contest. Trying for a double-header sweep. Second double-header sweep of the season. Now the Knights look like they're taking a little more time off the clock this trip down. Rumbaugh baseline. He gave up his dribble. Shut off. Gets it over to Dragic. Fadeaway jumper is short. Rebound Conway on the floor. Gets it over to a teammate. So York's got it down by 17.
Yeah, and that's what the Knights need to do is to work that ball, work the ball, find the best shot they can, then go in for the offensive rebound.
Olsen missed the jumper. Rebound to Rumbaugh. Here comes Walker. He's been kind of silent lately. Not so much as far as missing shots, just not taking a whole lot.
Again, they recognize Walker out there, and they're spying on him, so he's setting up his teammates.
And Langford with a nice shot near the foul line to make it 40-21, and he does have a nice shot. Big player who can go inside, Mike, but Langford also has a nice jump shot.
Oh, he does. Just beautiful form.
Shot inside is no good by York, but a foul called on the Knights. Thornton will pick that one up. That's his first. Team 6, as Bell, the 6'6", 225-pound freshman, goes to the foul line. Shooting 2. And the first one's good. 18-point lead now for the Knights with a minute 11 to go in the ballgame.
Yeah, the Knights go in again with a 18 to 22-point lead. It's going to be very, very difficult for the Spartans to mount any type of comeback because both teams do like to play at a little bit slower pace now.
Bell's second shot on the way. He makes it a 17-point ball game at 40-23 now. Rumbaugh, along with Walker and Hosier, have threes today. Here's Thornton down low. Back outside to Walker. Still time on the shot clock. Down to 11. Rumbaugh. Dragic is open. Now 4 on the shot clock, and
They're going to call a double dribble on
Double dribble on Dragnich. It looked like Walker was claiming that the ball was tipped away, but the referees see it differently. Tell you one thing, with Nuffield going out, Thornton has really filled his spot
He's done
more than adequately.
Done a heck of a job, both offensively and defensively. He's just able to carve out so much room on the offensive end.
About a 3-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock as York misses a three, and now the Knights can play for the last shot of the half with 24.7 seconds left.
And again, I expect the Knights to take the shot clock down under 10, start to attack at about 8 seconds to go. So that way, if you can get an offensive rebound or tap in, it's there for you.
And they'd love to hit a three and take a 20-point lead into the locker room.
Just as long as they go in with at the bare minimum of 17-point lead, everything will be good.
Knights out top, just working the clock down to 8 seconds now. Dragnich off to Walker, fires a three, no good. Rebound, Thornton up and in. Thornton just kind of floated over the left side, grabbed the loose ball rebound off the glass, and the Knights will go into the locker room, Mike, with a 19-point lead.
You know, and they worked that to perfection. Took the shot at the right time, was able to get on the offensive rebounds, especially on the offside for that shot. Kyle Thornton, nice bank shot. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Tim Duncan using the bank shot, and the Knights go in with the 19-point lead.
So the Knights, again, winning the first game, the women's contest, 66-64, and a 42-23 lead here in the men's game at halftime, Mike, and looking pretty good as far as the second straight doubleheader sweep.
You know, and we talked about Coach Caputo maybe wanting that 20-point lead going into the second half and make it a very uninteresting game. It looks like his players are going to do that for him. Again, he'll be able to sit down and relax a little bit. I'm sure he won't do that because I know how he is. He wants to make sure that everything goes perfectly, but it looks really good for the Knights right now.
And you look at these the latest numbers, 17 of 26 for the Knights shooting in that first half. They were shooting over 65%, 5 of 9 from three-point range, 3 of 3 from the foul line, 10-9 rebounding edge. Knights only had 5 first-half turnovers. They were led in scoring by Walker, who had 15 points.
That's the telling statistic, is 5 first-half turnovers. Kevin Walker has just been in charge of this game. He's kept the ball in his hands most times during the breaks, decided when to push it, when not to push it.
He's got 2 assists, 1 turnover, 3 steals.
And again, just making sure that the game stays in his hands now is going to be the most important thing that the Knights can do. And again, we talked about Kevin. When he's in control, he's one heck of a player. When he lets his speed start controlling him, then that's when we start to see those turnovers mount and easy layups going the other way.
So again, the Knights looking for a doubleheader sweep today against York. They won the women's contest in game 1, 66-64. Here in the men's contest in game number 2, the nightcap 3. We will take a little break and come back for more here from the Knights Sports Arena in just a few minutes, so stay with us. Halftime score once again, Southern Virginia 42, York 23 in this men's contest, the second game of a doubleheader. Women winning the first game for Southern Virginia 66-64. So again, Mike, looking pretty good right now. Still second half to go, but looking pretty good as to the possibility of a second straight doubleheader sweep on a Saturday for the Knights.
Well, with the pace of play that both teams have been exhibiting in this game, coming back from a 19-point deficit is really going to be tough for the York Spartans, and they really haven't shown a lot of firepower. So as long as the Knights can really trade baskets with them, it's going to be a good day for both teams.
And kind of like Crystal Cleveland, sitting a lot of the first half. Michael Neufville sat a lot of that first half for the men's team. Then again, with the way Thornton was playing inside, they didn't miss Neufville too much, but you'd love to see Michael get involved in the offense in the second half.
Yeah, he's had so many great games away from campus. It'd be nice to see him do something on campus and really showcase his talents. But again, one part starts to fall. The Knights have sent in another part and performed just as well.
And can Kevin Walker play any better than he did in that first half when he was able to score 15 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, only 1 turnover?
You know, Coach Caputo hopes he can, and so do we. As long as Kevin stays in control of his speed and keeps everything on kind of like an 8 speed instead of a 10 speed, he can really affect the game, and we've seen that on several occasions. If he just can lead his team, that's what they're looking for now, him to be the leader, and that's what the point guards really have to evolve into, is can they lead their team and score when they have to, but also recognize when they need to help other people score along the way.
Starting 5 from the first half. Going to start the second half in Dragnich, Walker, Rumbaugh, Neufville, and Larson.
And we got an update. The men's lacrosse team lost to Hood 8-7. It was 7-7 tie with 17 seconds left to go. Hood was able to put a shot in, and just a heartbreaker for the Knights men's lacrosse team.
Much better performance than the Shenandoah game. I think they lost that one 18-5 as York right off the bat goes down low to the 6'6", 225-pound freshman in Bell, and he is fouled.
Again, a lot of our teams are very freshman, sophomore oriented, so it's going to take a little while for them to get their feet underneath them, but we're looking for great things for all our sports.
And you mentioned could be a tough year for softball as they get their feet wet. Some of the younger players, same maybe with men's and women's lacrosse, but baseball has high hopes. Of course, they lost their opener on last Wednesday at Roanoke, playing that doubleheader today against Southern Vermont.
Yeah, and it's really tough on some of the spring sports, especially baseball, softball. They can't get out onto their field because of wet weather that we've had. I know baseball was only outside on their field 3 times before they played that first game against Roanoke. Softball's been outside about 4 or 5 times. So the more they can get into game situations and the weather starts to cooperate more, the better off we'll see them start to perform.
And not just for Southern Virginia as Walker misses a 3, but for any college players at this particular point, really for the first month of the season. What's it like playing in temperatures like today?
Oh, it's miserable.
I don't know. I assume it's worse hitting the ball than trying to field it, but it may be both.
Well, hitting the ball, even if you hit it on the sweet spot, you still feel that vibration.
Feel it for how long? A couple hours?
The rest of the game. And if you have a dominant pitcher standing out there in the cold weather, your toes start to get cold and freeze.
Got a blocking foul called after the Knights were able to score on their end. Larson just picked up foul number 3. He was trying to draw a charge, and they're going to say he slid underneath the man from York. So Larson has just picked up his 3rd foul. We'll see if he comes out. Langford maybe to check in to replace him, or perhaps even Thornton. It'd be interesting to see Thornton and Neufville on the court at the same time. A little Twin Towers action going on there.
Well, not even Twin Towers, but I think back to the 80s with the Washington Bullets then, not the Wizards, but the Bullets, and they had what was called the Bruise Brothers. Both of those gentlemen were only about 6'8", but they're about 5 or 6 feet wide.
Was that Wes Suntel?
No, that was Ruland and...
Oh, Jeff Ruland, okay.
And, I forget his name. But I'll have to look that up. But those 2 gentlemen formed a solid wall across the lane.
So now usually when they talk about the Twin Towers, wasn't that invented with Olajuwon and
Olajuwon and Sampson.
Okay.
And it's hard to get any taller than 7 foot and 7'4".
Nope, yep. Although Sampson, I think, was a little lighter.
Much lighter, much lighter.
19-point lead right here for the Knights, 44-25. As they try to take care of business here in the second half. Long three-pointer up and no good by Scamuffo. And the rebound of the Knights. Larson has got those 3 fouls. Over to Rumbaugh. His jumper, no good. Long rebound comes to the York, but it is Larson swatting it away to Neufville, who had a wild shot miss, and now it's back with York with the ball.
And you kind of scratch your head wondering what Michael was trying to do. I think he was just trying to draw the foul.
Well, that you get the sense, too. He didn't play a lot in the first half, and as you mentioned, he's in there and he wants to do something, and when you get the ball, you take your opportunities whenever you got them, right?
Yes, sir.
And now York is within 17 with a basket. Knights have only had 2 points here in nearly 3 minutes to start the second half. Neufville, baseline, works his way in, shoots and scores.
And again, just Michael Neufville has some of those wide shoulders and hips, and able just to create a lot of space along that baseline.
He only played 12 minutes in the first half. That's his first basket, Mike. That's his first basket of the entire ball game.
Yeah, we've seen him only take 3 shots.
Yeah. Nice defense there by Larson to swat the pass away out of bounds. Knights on top here, 46-27. Trying to pick up their 6th win on the season and their 4th victory in the Capital Conference this year.
And over the past 2 weeks, the schedule has been set up pretty nice for the Knights to pick up some of these wins. Starting to play some teams that are on the downtrend. So,
Conway walk with the ball. And both teams have had close losses, especially the men. I mean, that record of 3-12 heading into the ball game today, you could be talking 6-9, 7-8.
Well, things really turned around when they beat Christopher Newport here. I think that just showed them that they can really play the game with anybody in the conference. They just had to really buy into the system that the coaching staff for the men were trying to put in place. And once they did, and they've bought in fully, we've seen the benefits of it.
And that was a big loss for Newport, who came into the day 11-4 in the conference, but 2 full games behind St. Mary's and a game behind Marymount.
Yeah, you always want to try to get that one of those top 4 spots, and being third is okay for Christopher Newport, but with the way the Capital Conference uses their tournament, it always goes to the top seeds. So you play it out, and then you go to the top seeds gym, and so having that home court advantage is just major.
Dragnich is fouled on a drive to the basket. Non-shooting foul. Yeah, Mary Washington was in action today. Of course, Mary Washington is the team that the Knights will be taking on in a doubleheader on the road Wednesday. And then wrapping things up in the regular season with this doubleheader coming up a week from Saturday against St. Mary's. St. Mary's came in as the number 1 team right now in the men's in the Capital Conference.
Yeah, St. Mary's has played some non-conference games. They beat Alfred State 91-58 earlier on in the week.
Rumbaugh for a 3 hits. Aaron Rumbaugh, Mike, now 2 threes for the ball game.
And he might be the extra 3-point shooter to help stretch out these zones that the Knights have seen during the season.
And I believe he is now in double figures with 10 for the ball game. And you wonder how much playing time, if he'll get a lot of playing time as he did today, the rest of the season then, and then the final few ball games. 3 up and in by Dalton Myers for York.
I think the coaching staff really likes Aaron. He's a very hard worker, always in the gym, getting up extra shots. Always eager to learn, asking questions, not why are we doing this, but what can I do to become better?
Larson scores. Yeah, you look with Rumbaugh. And again, he's listed on the roster as 6'5", 185. You wonder, again, if he'll fill out and what he might look like as a player in a couple of years. If, 6'5", maybe 200?
Oh, at 6'5", 200, he would be one heck of a mismatch for people trying to hold. If he keeps his shooting touch from the outside, then you'd have to put in either a small forward or even a shooting guard on him, and he would be able to either shoot over the top or go down and post people up.
Now, at Neufville, at 6'6", basically 225, can you fill him out, maybe add 10 or 15?
Well, you can take off some of the baby fat and replace it with some muscle. And, he could stay about 225, but you would see a much more chiseled and even a beefier 225. Same thing with Kyle Thornton. Coming in as a freshman, you think that you're in great shape, but your muscles really haven't matured until you hit about that 19, 20, 21-year-old mark. And again, the lifting regime that you have in high school as opposed to college is just incomparable.
They say, of course, at this point of the season, freshmen are no longer freshmen. And I don't know, does it vary person to person, freshman to freshman, as to when they start to adjust, when they start to get it, I guess?
No, it's after you played really in your first conference game, you're no longer considered a freshman. You're just a basketball player. Usually during the preseason, you can say, well, freshman mistake, freshman mistake, freshman mistake. But after that first conference game, you're fully into your season. You can't use the excuse of being a freshman anymore.
Well, Mike Knights, 21 of 34 now for the ball game, 62%. Would imagine that's tops for the season.
That has to be
so
tops
far,
for the season.
obviously,
Yes.
for field goal shooting.
And again, the way that they're doing it is very methodical, very controlled.
Taylor Larson, 4 out of 5. Rumbaugh, 4 out of 5 from the field. 6 of 9 for Walker. Langford, 2 for 2. Thornton, 2 out of 3.
Well, about the 9-minute mark to go with at Mary Washington. Mary Washington is up over Penn State Harrisburg, 54-52. Frostburg is losing to Salisbury, 45-31 in the second half. And St. Mary's and Wesley is just beginning to start.
I'll tell you one thing, when you look at the numbers, maybe it's because of the shooting percentage, it's not a whole lot of misses. Very low rebound totals for both teams, 14 to 11 rebounding edge for the Knights.
Well, the high shooting percentage to do that. Also, this slow, deliberate pace, you're not going to have a lot of shots and possessions.
Knights lead by 19 points. Closing in on the 14-minute mark. Walker passes to Dragnich, and he scores. What a heck of a pass by Walker.
Very nice. And those two are really starting to gel as players. Can read each other on the floor, knowing where they're going to go without having to talk, just those little looks.
Walker's got 5 assists now for the game, and the Knights have a 21-point lead. And York's just really looking where they're going to get their offense down the stretch here, down by 21. Conway got off to a good start for them, but not lately.
And both teams are taking 20, 25 seconds to shoot the ball up. Again, this pace is not going to allow for big comebacks.
Myers missed the shot. Dragnich over to Walker. Now Rumbaugh in the corner. Knights deliberate this time down, running a little clock. Shot clock right now at 11. Jump shot near the foul line by Larson is no good. Rimmed out.
Again, though, that's the Knights are taking that shot clock down around 10 seconds before the shot goes up.
And a turnover. Conway was trying to hit Duffy, who broke it the other way from the pass. And that's a tough situation for York to have a turnover and get nothing out of that possession.
The execution that we've seen on the offensive end for the Knights today has just been remarkable. It's something that we haven't seen all season long, even against Christopher Newport. We haven't seen the Knights look this sharp.
Yeah, a lot of players playing with confidence out there, Walker especially, and Rumbaugh. Walker gives it to Rumbaugh. He'll fire out of the corner, way long air ball.
Yeah, that was a nice contested shot by Reich.
Duffy running jump shot scores. Mike Duffy hitting for York. And York climbs within 19 at 53-34. Rumbaugh passing inside to Neufville.
Oh, and they call him for a walk.
Travel to call against the Southern Virginia Knights against Nuffield. Yeah, you know, when you got this kind of big lead, Mike, you can afford a few mistakes. I'm sure Tony Caputo doesn't like it, but still a 19-point lead here for the Knights, who will take Larson and Nuffield out and bring in Thornton and Langford.
Well, you don't want to take anything for granted, and you want to continue that efficiency rate that you've been playing with for the first part of this game.
And a steal. Went off the hands of Blake Wright, picked out of the air by Walker. Walker, nice pass to Thornton. And I believe we've got...
They're going to talk about a clock situation because I don't think there's any way that 15 seconds went off the shot clock there.
Probably should be up around 25 or 26 maybe.
Yeah.
27, I believe.
Mike, you got opposite corner, Mike.
12 minutes, 14 seconds left. 19-point lead for the Knights, who led by 19 at halftime. Southern Virginia women winning the first game 66-64. Walker downloaded Thornton, threw it into a crowd, and never got to Thornton. Intercepted by York. Tough pass to make, Mike, when you got 2 or 3 defenders there.
Yes, it is, and especially when you're staring them down. That's really only about the second big mistake that we've seen Walker make all game.
Alston scores to make it 53-36 as York closes the gap down to 17. I believe the biggest lead today so far, 21 for the Knights.
Yes.
In fact, it was 53-32. Now it's 53-36. Thornton, Dragnich along the baseline. He's stuck. Gets it over to Walker. Walker backs his way in as foul. Took a real shot.
And the one thing that I didn't like about that possession is the ball got over on the right-hand side of the floor, stayed on the right-hand side of the floor. Again, let the zone cover, 3 people cover all 5 of the Knights players. Nice to see Kevin Walker be able to create something out of that to get the Knights to the free throw line.
And Walker missed the first foul shot. I believe that was his first foul shot appearance, foul line appearance today. First free throw. One more coming, trying to make it an 18-point game if he hits this foul shot. And he got the second one. So the Knights are on top here by 18. Myers with it, over to Alston. Gives it way outside the Duffy for a 3. Rimmed out, tough miss there for York, and they rebound to Kevin Walker. Walker wants to hurry, bumps into Duffy, and will pick up the foul on Duffy. 4th team foul on York, non-shooting foul coming up, so it'll be out of bounds for the Knights.
Mike Duffy. Ty, you got opposite corner, Ty. Blake, step out.
Knights have done a good job when it comes to fouls too, Mike. Just 10 total fouls for the game for the Knights.
Again, and we saw that in the last game that they were here. They're starting to move their feet a lot more, getting into position before the ball arrives and not trying to just reach with their hands.
Langford outside to Walker. Still lots of time on the shot clock for Southern Virginia. Down to 15. Dragnich, right side. Now the Knights are going to have to hurry here. Shot clock down to 5.
Oh, and got bailed out.
Foul on Alston, it looks like. 5 team fouls now here on York in the second half. It's almost like the Knights, and maybe York to a certain degree, they're kind of sleepwalking through this second half so far, especially with the big lead the Knights had at halftime. Rimbaugh passing to Thornton. Grabs the pass, loses the ball, stolen away by York. Duffy dribbles through a crowd. Gives it off to Reich, and he misses his shot. Fouled apparently by the Knights. That's the 3rd team foul on Southern Virginia as Thornton fouls him. And so Reich, the freshman, will go to the foul line and he'll shoot 2.
And Coach Caputo is starting to see some of that efficiency start to leave his team, so he's called timeout to try to remind them, don't look at the score, play the game that we started out playing in this half.
Knights had 42 points at halftime and just 12 so far here in the second half. And a timeout is taken, so the Knights still have a healthy 18-point lead. Their biggest lead of the game has been 21. And with only 10:27 to go, it seems highly unlikely that York can mount any comeback.
Yeah, as long as the Knights can keep on scoring 1 out of every 3 times down the floor, they should be fine. Again, York doesn't play at a tempo that's going to allow them to score a lot of points fast. So the Knights are really in control here. This timeout is just to remind his team that, hey, we've done so good up to this point. Let's not go backwards. Let's keep on being very, very efficient.
Yeah, and of course the Knights would like to get this victory, pick up win number 6, go on the road to Mary Washington, maybe beat them because they came into today's action with a record of 5-17, maybe beat Apprentice on Thursday. And then the tall order obviously would be next Saturday against St. Mary's, a team that is going into today's action 16-4 on the season.
Yeah, but any type of momentum that you can gain going from here forward is just icing on the cake for the Knights. And their whole season now is not can we get into the playoffs, but who can we have a very hard road to get into the playoffs.
And the fact that, again, if they win all their games, they got 9 wins for the season. And, of course, the women were able to win today to get their 7th win, and they've got a couple more chances to also get to 9 wins on the season.
Yeah, playing against Mary Washington is going to be their toughest opponent in their next 2 games. But again, the way that they played, we saw them be very efficient in the second half against the York Spartans. If they play that same way, they're going to give Mary Washington a very big run for their money.
And the second foul shot after the first was missed is good by Reich. 54-37. Walker across the timeline, works on Duffy. Almost lost the ball. Walker dribbles out of that. Now Dragnich. He goes into the lane, shoots, can't get the shot to go. Got his own tip up and in, and a chance at a 3-point play for Dragnich, who never gave up after he missed the initial shot. Was there for the tip in and got fouled. Chance at a 3-point play.
And Kyle's just a very, very efficient player. He's always moving, never stops. Doesn't take anything for granted, and we saw that mindset there. Shot the ball, knew it wasn't going to be a miss, and continued to pursue it.
And he completes the 3-point play. Lead is 20 now for the Knights, 57-37. And we are down to 10 minutes to go in the ball game. Inside shot is missed by Max Bell. Looks like another foul called on the Knights. Bell will go to the foul line. Thornton will pick that one up. No, they called it on Langford. So Max Bell, the freshman, he'll shoot 2. Fourteen fouls on the Knights, 16 fouls on York. Another reason, I guess, Mike, that it'll be very difficult for York to make the comeback is the Knights ostensibly shooting a lot of foul shots here in the final 9 minutes.
Yes, that'll well, that could also stop the clock, and they are able to, if the Knights are able to hit the free throws, obviously that'll be detrimental to them. But, you know, we've seen some games where the Knights have really struggled from the free throw line. So nothing's a given here by putting the Knights on the free throw line.
18-point lead with the ball, room ball, works through traffic. York trying to step up its defense, maybe force a turnover or 2.
And they've gone from their zone to the man-to-man.
Nice pass to Thornton. Thornton scores. Dragnich to Thornton. 20-point lead again. And I believe Thornton's up to 9 for the game. The other way, also off the glass, and he got the roll, making it 59-41. A quick timeout taken with 9:16 to go.
You know, we remarked earlier about how fast this game seems to be going now. Both coaches are starting to use their complement of timeouts, trying to figure out, 1, how can we be more efficient, or 2, how can we make a big comeback.
And what's the uppermost on Tony Caputo's mind, you think? Is it trying to be more efficient or trying to make sure we don't have silly turnovers that leave any, I guess, opportunity for York to make some sort of comeback, even though right now it seems highly unlikely when you're down by 18 points and you really haven't been able to manufacture offense, and there's just a little over 9 minutes to go.
The efficiency would take care of both of them. Efficiency on offense and efficiency on defense. Making sure that they shoot contested shots. They can only get one shot, secure the rebound, and then let's go down to the other end and run our offense until we get the open shot that we want.
And the Knights will be on the road Wednesday at Mary Washington for a doubleheader. Men's team will be playing Thursday against Apprentice, and then Saturday wrapping up basketball with a final home doubleheader against St. Mary's. Knights by 18, and Rimbaugh's got it. And he has got a lot of minutes today, Mike.
He has, and again, might be one of those diamonds in the rough that the coaching staff has been polishing and then finally felt that he has been polished enough and is able to get into the games and really contribute.
Turnover for the Knights after Walker tried to give and go to Thornton, who wasn't maybe expecting the pass or just couldn't handle it cleanly. And now York, after being down by 18, have a chance here to get it 16. They do, as Blade Reich scores from the foul line, 59-43. See how much time off the shot clock the Knights take this trip down. Trying to score, Dragic down low, and nowhere to go. Gets it over to Thornton, or make that Langford. He shoots and misses. Thornton with the tip, he can't score. Rimbaugh tries to save it, does, puts it up and in. Knights just never giving up on that ball.
No, great amount of little volleyball tips going on, plus when Rimbaugh was able to finally get it, able to contort his body in different ways to get the ball up to the basket.
Duffy lost the ball, tipped away from him. Picked up by the Knights, turnover for York. Rimbaugh all the way, shot up and no good, air ball. Quick shot too.
Yeah, you'd like to see Aaron take that shot at a little bit more of a 45-degree angle to the backboard so he could use the backboard to his advantage.
Closing in on the 7-minute mark.
And if you're Coach Caputo, you'd probably want him to back it back out to run another 20 seconds off the clock.
Missed by York, rebound Thornton. Well, we'll see how much time off the shot clock the Knights take this trip down. Langford's got it left side. Let's work the clock a little bit.
Now the Knights should really start looking to attack.
And there's Dragnich with a floater. No good. Rebound to York with 6:57 to go in the game. Knights coasting here with an 18-point lead. Fadeaway jumper by Bell, rims out. Rebound easy, rebound to Langford.
And York shouldn't get in possession of the ball until like 6:10 on the clock.
That's getting ready to make some substitutions, including Larson and Neufville. Yeah, it looks like maybe Mosley. So Mosley, Larson, and Neufville back into the game. Thornton, Rimbaugh, and Walker will sit down. Langford will stay out there. Hosier also checks in. Dragnich. So you got Neufville out there along with the Dragnich. Also Mosley, Hosier, and Langford.
And now the Knights will be living at the free throw line for the next 6 minutes and 31 seconds.
Dragnich, foul shot, good. 19-point lead now for Southern Virginia. Tough game for York here today, Mike. They started early, started pretty good. Actually had a 4-point lead early in the ball game, first few minutes, but then Southern Virginia took over.
Well, and when you say Southern Virginia took over, it really was Kevin Walker that took over,
no doubt,
for about 10 minutes there in the first half. And once they started to key on him, the rest of the Knights really started to chip in.
We had some great season highlight clips, and as you mentioned, it started out as Walker, and then it went over to players like Rimbaugh, and of course also Thornton. Another shot missed by York over the top of the backboard, out of bounds. 20-point lead for the Knights, and they've got the ball.
And now we'll see how effectively the Knights can really start to take the air out of the ball.
York doesn't seem like they're going to do any fouling here, Mike. Just if they can get a turnover, fine. Otherwise, just play some defense. Dragnich, they're trying to work Hosier down low. Instead, it's Langford. His fadeaway jumper hits the side of the backboarding. And York grabs the ball with 5:45 to go. Conway. And great defense by Neufeld to knock that shot away. And the ball goes over to Southern Virginia. Good defense by Michael Neufeld.
You know, and if the Knights can continue to play at the pace they're at, York's not going to foul. You're looking at about 10 more possessions in this game.
Yeah, Conway was the guy who started off pretty good. I think he had 6 of York's first 13 points, and he hasn't scored since.
Yeah, they've really done a great job of noticing where he is, especially against their zone. And
got a foul called. Foul against York will send Dragnich to the foul line. Coming up here for Dragnich. And he makes the first one.
And Kyle's been very instrumental in this output today of the Knights, both the efficiency on the offense and also the defense just clamping down on the Spartans.
Second shot rolls off. Walker getting ready to check back in for the Knights, who have a 21-point lead, matching their biggest lead of the ball game. Here's a pass down low. Good defense by the Knights, collapsing on Crosby. And now a foul called on Langford. So Dragnich will check out and Walker will check back in.
And it looks like the Spartans have recognized that Cody Hosier's on the backside of that zone, and he's having to guard some cutters, and they're going to cut their biggest people through, looking to try to get it down into the low post.
Non-shooting foul. York will take it out of bounds. Scamuffo getting ready to inbounds. Does. Way outside of Wessner.
Now the Knights have gone from their zone back into their man-to-man.
This defense by Southern Virginia solid all game long. Outside three, up and in by Dalton Myers. Quick timeout taken by York with 4:45 to go. The lead still 18 points here for Southern Virginia.
And again, I'm sure that the coach from York is just trying to get some teaching points in at this time, trying to use this as another practice in order to help his young team move along. Coach Caputo's going to take the advantage of these timeouts to do the same thing. Again, emphasizing the efficiency of the offense, and defensively, let's make sure that we contest the shots, don't foul, and then rebound.
And the Knights right now, last report, they've got a couple of players in double figure with Rumbaugh and Walker. Larson, though, was close. Thornton was close, but Kevin Walker had that amazing first half. He's been able to shoot the basketball very well, take care of the basketball. Not too many turnovers, lots of steals for Walker today.
Yeah, he's just played a magnificent game and doing what the Knights needed him to do at the moment that they needed it. We haven't seen him force any shots here in the second half. I don't even think he's taken a shot in the second half. But again, his presence is out there as far as making sure that the Knights control the tempo. And this last 4 minutes and 45 seconds, we'll probably see the ball in his hands even more as trying to control that tempo and use up as much shot clock as possible.
Going to be interesting, Mike, to see exactly how these two teams do. The women's team for Southern Virginia and the men's team, how they do on the road in their final road contest against Mary Washington on Wednesday. The women will have, obviously, the tougher time against Mary Washington, and then maybe the easier time on Saturday. No easy situation, but easier than the men against St. Mary's.
Yeah, it's kind of a reversal of fortunes for the two teams. Although we know that Mary Washington is in first place, they're in second place for the women, and Mary Washington's women's team is just magnificent. The men are struggling a little bit, so our men's team will have the easier of the time. And then coming into next Saturday's game, St. Mary's is number one in the men's side. On the women's side, they're still working for securing a slot in the conference tournament. So our women will have a little bit easier time next Saturday.
You know, and of course, the Knights had a close call against Marymount back in December, the men's team, and they beat Christopher Newport, and now they'll be playing next Saturday St. Mary's. Those are the top three, along with the Salisbury, top three teams, top four essentially for the Capital Conference. And we saw Christopher Newport get upset here a few weeks ago, and you wonder St. Mary's next Saturday, you know, how they'll do, and really who is the best men's team in the Capital Conference this year.
Well, if we see the Knights play this type of tempo and this efficient against St. Mary's is really going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Again, it's so important in this conference that you can go on the road and pick up wins, and it's so important that you really defend your home court. And we've really seen the Knights start to defend their home court with more vigor and just more gusto in the last couple games.
And both teams.
Both teams.
Both men and women seem to be playing, as you mentioned, with Dragnich and Walker. Just seem to be really, I guess, pretty much used to one another at this particular point of the season as to where people are going to be and what they're going to do. Got a 10-second call. The Knights never got it across the timeline.
Yeah, and that was Emmett not really paying attention to how much time was on the clock. As soon as he caught it in the middle of the floor, he had a wide open lane to get it across half court.
He took it sideways instead. So the turnover for the Knights gives it back to York with just 3:53 to go. 19-point lead here for the Knights, 66-47. Myers inside, blocked by Walker. Foul going to be called on Walker for Southern Virginia.
You know, and sometimes you kind of hope that in the games that you've played so well that a few things start to go wrong because you want to be able to keep your team grounded. And in film session on Monday, you can't sit there and say, well, that was good and that was good, and then go out to practice because players' heads start to get a little bit big. So when you can point out some things that went wrong in a game that you handled well, the players will pay attention to that.
18-point lead here for the Knights. They've led at halftime by 19. They've had the lead up to as high as 21, I believe. Second shot is no good. Battle for that rebound, tied up between Reich and DeFille, and they'll go to Southern Virginia.
And that's almost one of those unexcusable sins of letting the offense rebound the ball on a free throw situation.
Dragnich out there along with Walker, Hosier, Larson, and Neufville right now. Inbounds to Walker. Walker escaping two or three defenders. Nice pass to Dragnich, who gets it over to Hosier, and now they'll run the clock a little bit. Knights dribbling off a little time here. Larson moving to the basket. Fouled as he made his move. And Taylor will go to the foul line to shoot two.
And although that was a nice move by Taylor going to the basket, still 17 seconds left on the shot clock. A little bit too much time. You want to wait to about that 11-second mark to make those type of moves.
Larson's first foul shot is short. One more shot coming over here for Taylor Larson. He's trying to get into double figures. He missed both shots. Neufville grabs the rebound and is fouled. And he really, I think, was bailed out because it looked like he had that ball on his hip and he was having a hard time getting it up.
Yeah, and I think he also got a little bit blocked by underneath the basket again.
So Neufville will shoot two. And he makes the first one. And Michael makes it a 20-point lead again for the Knights here, 68-48. Here's a jump shot outside, up and in by Wessner. And a timeout is taken by York with 3:09 to go.
And again, you know, you can't fault the coaches from York to do this. This is a great teaching moment that they can use with his teams. Although it makes the game a little bit longer for you and I, and for Coach Caputo, because I'm sure he'd like to see that clock rolling. again, teaching moments come like this, and
You
you have to take advantage of it.
You look at York's roster, kind of like similar to Southern Virginia. No seniors on that roster.
And only one junior, so they're going to be around for a while, and you've got to teach when you have those moments. And again, these lessons that they're learning now will come back to pay dividends in next year and the following year.
We'll see how things play out, I guess, next Saturday in the St. Mary's ball game, but the doubleheader. But it'll be, I assume, a senior day, Mike, and we'll see not that many people honor, but key people nonetheless. Ann Kuroki for the women, and will they honor Preston Eaton and Wes Evans, I guess, next Saturday, even though they haven't been active on the roster here for a few weeks?
Well,
Eaton, of course, losing his appeal, couldn't play in the second half of the season. Evans had that injury, otherwise he'd be out there.
Yeah, and I don't see why they wouldn't honor them, and
because Wes Evans has had a great career here at Southern Virginia,
and so
has Preston Eaton. Yeah.
And again, them not being on the floor now is nothing that they did wrong.
Makes you wonder, one of those what ifs. If Eaton had his appeal granted, if Evans had stayed healthy, if Manuela had stuck around for the second half of the season, obviously, I don't think we're talking about a team that would be in the top 3 or 4 of the Capital Conference, but they'd have a lot more wins. And who knows? Again, when you look at the top 6 in the Capital Conference, we're talking Frostburg at 6-9, 10-12 heading into the action today. We're just a game ahead of Mary Washington. So, who knows? With a few more victories in the conference, and maybe you're fighting for the 5th or 6th spot.
Yeah, and again, though, but sometimes, and I love Wes Evans to death, and I think of the world of Preston Eaton as a player and a person. But sometimes when you have those things happen, sometimes with a young team, you get addition by subtraction.
Right. And perhaps, if nothing else, you suffer a little bit this season, gain next season.
Exactly, and that's the growing pains that both teams have kind of gone through.
Three-pointer was no good by Myers. Knights grabbed the rebound. Foul called on Scamuffo. So the Knights will shoot foul shots with 2:25 to go in a 20-point lead.
Taylor Larson to the foul line. Nope, that's a lie. Foul Dragnet.
Looks like Jordan McGuigan is getting ready to check in.
Yeah, I think he's coming in for Kyle. Kyle's just played a heck of a game today. May not have all the points that Kevin Walker has or anything, but has just been in the middle of so many plays.
And Dragic makes the foul shots to allow that substitution to be made. So a good ball game today by Kyle Dragic, and he gives his team a 22-point lead. I believe that's the biggest lead of the game for Southern Virginia.
And that's very unselfish of Kyle, because most people will look over and they'll see the person coming in for them, and
oh, come on, they wouldn't miss it on purpose.
Maybe miss the free throw and to stay in the game just a few minutes more.
And we'll see who else pops out and pops off the bench into the ball game as a shot is missed inside. Foul call on Southern Virginia, though. Going to go against Taylor Larson. That's his 4th.
Again, these are small things that they'll see in film session, and Taylor needs to be able to move his feet and just contest right now and not try to go for shot blocks.
Myers made the first foul shot. Knights led at halftime 42-23. The second half has really gone back and forth. Right now, a 20-point lead for the Knights. Inbounds pass to Walker. Walker gets it over to Nuffville, puts it in. Walker looked up, saw he had a 2-on-1, and took the opportunity.
And again, just like in the women's game, when you have the numbers game, you're going to have to go ahead and take that. 2 points is always 2 points.
Jump shot turnaround good, up and in by Blake Wright. Makes it a 20-point game again. Hosier gets it across the timeline. Hosier, nice pass to Walker. This pass back to Nuffville, out of bounds. And now here comes Austin Wood into the game.
And
also Mulaba.
And Brahima is just a bundle of smiles. Every time I see him across campus, he's always smiling.
And I believe we mentioned this. Looks like a football player, in addition, obviously, a basketball player.
Well, he's
or
a soccer
perhaps
player.
Perhaps a few other sports,
Yeah,
too.
he started for the soccer team, and just the size that he had made him tower over the rest of the soccer players.
18-point lead. Here's Wood. Over to Larson. Shot score. Larson, who's got 4 fouls right now with a great shot. He's fouled. Chance at a 3-point play. And the lead's back up at 20.
And now you have these young men out here that don't get to see a lot of playing time. Coach Caputo would probably want them to bring the ball back out and run some shot clock off of it. But, in their exuberance, they're going to attack. That's what they learn how to do in practice, and so that's what they're going to do out in the game.
And Larson completes the 3-point play to give the Knights a 21-point lead. Southern Virginia going to improve to 6-16 on the season and 4-12 in the Capital Conference. And York is going to sink into the basement, either by themselves, Mike, or with Penn State Harrisonburg. Southern Virginia Harrisburg, and also York came in tied for the basement at 3-12 this evening. St. Mary's was the Capital leader by a game over Marymount, 2 games over Newport, and also Salisbury. Wesley was in 5th at 8-7, then Frostburg 6-9, and Mary Washington 5-10. Knights grab the ball. Fast break to Hosier. Hosier passes over and scores as Wood scores. Austin Wood off the pass from Hosier with just 50 seconds to go. And now a foul called on McGuigan, I think.
Foul number 10, making his mark in the game.
Well, it looks like Penn State Harrisburg lost to Mary Washington. So we'll have a 2-way tie for last place, and the Knights will be in 8th place all by themselves.
And Mary Washington, a team usually pretty good in men's basketball. I guess they're going to improve to 6-17 on the season, 6-10 in the Capital Conference. And again, that's the team that this men's team from Southern Virginia will be facing on the road on Wednesday. And into the ball game is Cottle. Kashawn Cottle into the game for the first time. Played JV this year?
Yes, sir.
He's a 5'10 freshman from Hillcrest Heights, Maryland. 21-point lead for the Knights. And now Hosier will dribble off some time, or try to at least. Hounded, got it over to Mulabah. Now Cottle with it. Down to 28 seconds on the clock in this ball game. 21-point lead for Southern Virginia. Hosier open for a 3. Hits! Hosier has his second 3 today. The Knights have a 24-point lead, their biggest lead with just 18 seconds to go. 3 the other way is up and no good, and the Knights grab the rebound, and the foul is called on Reich with 11 seconds to go.
And you got a lot of people shaking their heads like this, or shaking their head no on that foul, especially on the York sideline.
But it'll give Austin Wood, freshman, a chance to score down from the foul line with just 11.6 seconds left. Knights at 42 points at halftime and 40 here in the second half.
So a very consistent game.
If Austin had hit them both, it would have been 42 and 42.
Yeah, that'd be most consistent, right?
So 41 in the second half, 83 for the game, 25-point lead, 10 seconds to go. It'll be Reich shooting from 3, no good. And that should probably do it as the ball goes out of bounds with just 2.6 left.
And Mulabah and Wood were both vying for that rebound, wanting to get that last rebound and knock the ball out of each other's hands.
Knights knock it away, and that's the ball game. 83 to 58. So a big victory here in game number 2 as the Knights might get that doubleheader sweep, 66-64. The women win the first game, and the men easily against York here in game number 2, 83-58.
Yeah, much easier time for the men than the women. Both games, though, had their exciting moments in it. And again, congratulations for both teams, especially getting the doubleheader sweep.
Players of the game for the first game for that 66-64 victory for Southern Virginia. A lot of different stars for the women's game in the first game.
Yeah, you'd have to look at Missy Belliston, and Kuroki also just all over the place. Both of those had some great influence on the game. In the second half, Crystal Cleveland was able to really put her stamp on the game also. Not so much with points, but with the rebounds and some block shots. And so all three of those. But in the men's game, really getting off on the Knights on the right foot was Kevin Walker.
Kevin Walker, without question. We're going to hear from Tony Caputo here in just a few seconds, get his thoughts before we wrap things up here from the Knights Sports Arena, as Tony's team was able to win here 83-58. Again, Knights playing on the road at Mary Washington in that road doubleheader coming up on Wednesday. And then they'll be back home for a game against Newport News Apprentice on Thursday, and then wrapping up the season against St. Mary's a week from today in the final home doubleheader. And joining us now is Tony Caputo. And Tony, you guys struggled early. They had a 4-point lead early on, and then you guys really got it going. Kevin Walker had an amazing first half, great ball game, obviously, too. And you got a lot of interesting players who had ball games today. Aaron Rumbaugh looked very good.
Yeah, Aaron had to step up. We had one of our players not playing today. In fact, our leading scorer, David Beatty, not playing. And so Aaron got the call. And, you know, Aaron's a kid last Saturday didn't play in the game at all.
Right.
When we won Penn State, Harrisburg, that game. And then last game, Frostburg State, when we won, he played big minutes. And so they got to be ready. I mean, he's a freshman. These freshmen, they got to be ready. You never know when you're going to get called on. And then today, he starts, and I don't know what his numbers were, but I liked his rebounding. He had 12 points.
Only 5 rebounds, it says here, but a really good ball game.
Yeah, but in this game with only 29 rebounds, he was tied for the lead in rebounding. We had 3 guys with 5, so...
Another guy I thought had a good game, especially with Newfield sitting a lot of that first half, was Kyle Thornton.
Cal Thornton, you know, another guy that, you know, doesn't always play. I mean, on the season has only played probably 6 or 7 games and steps in today. Yeah, gets 9 points, 3 rebounds, gives us a defensive presence. They've got really good bigs.
Yeah.
I mean, they post harder than anyone in the league, I think, and they just keep sending these 6'6", 220, 225 guys at you, and you know, so yeah, we knew we were going to need, you know, some people inside. Michael got the 2 fouls, and that wasn't surprising with the way they attacked the basket.
What can you say about Kevin Walker, too? He was obviously the early spark, and is it tough to really figure Kevin out? Sometimes he's having a fantastic game, and other times he just kind of disappears, I guess.
Well, I think, you know, though, over this last little stretch, you know, he's a wing that has had to play point guard this year.
Right, yep.
And after this last little stretch, he's kind of figured it out a lot more. I mean, he had 9 assists in our game at Frostburg State, our win in overtime the other day. So, and I don't know how many assists he had here today, but, you know, he's 6 assists. 6 assists, 2 turnovers. He had 9 assists, 3 turnovers the other day. So
you guys only had
you know,
13 turnovers today.
He's turning into a point guard as the season goes, and we're taking, we had 13 turnovers, and so that's our season low. And Kevin's a big part of that. And because we have 13 turnovers, we have 83 points. And the other day, we had 17 in overtime, which is good for us, and we scored 86. So,
yeah, you look at Kyle
we take care
Dragnich,
of the
too,
ball.
12 points, and between Dragnich and Walker, 13 assists, only 5 turnovers. So.
Yeah, that's great guard play, and that makes a huge difference. And their defensive intensity, Kyle and Kevin are 2 of our best defensive players. They really get after it.
So, Tony,
we got the loose balls and things we needed to.
You got Mary Washington road game Wednesday, and then the final game of the season against St. Mary's.
And we have a game in between.
That's right,
Apprentice
Apprentice on Thursday.
Yeah.
So, what will be happening next Saturday, by the way? Do you guys plan to honor Eaton and Evans?
Yeah, Eaton and Evans,
Okay.
even though they can't play, we'll have them out here. And
well, we were talking about that. I mean, can you envision how things would have gone in the second half of the season with those guys playing? I mean, would you be competing for maybe a conference tournament slot?
I mean, you'd like to think so. I mean, those are, you know, 2 veteran seniors that, you know, were our leading scorers.
Right.
So you'd like to think so. But, you know, we lost some tough games the first semester. Marymount by 5 here, Wesley in overtime, and CNU when we had a 10-point lead in the second half, late. So, we lost some tough games there, but hey, these guys have hung in there. I'm so proud of them. We went from the cellar. I think we were 0-11 in the conference at one time to 4 and I don't know what we were, 4 and I don't know, something.
Well, it just seems like we were talking about this. Both you and the women seem to be really gelling down the stretch, and that's good news for next year.
Yeah, I think so. I guess we're 4-12, I think, is what we are in the conference.
Right, 4-12.
And the thing is, we've went out of the cellar. We went into 9th place, and now we're in 8th place.
Yep.
So, we're stepping up, and Mary Washington's only 1 game ahead of us.
And
so they're 1 game, they have 5 wins.
Maybe you guys cost Frostburg a spot in the tournament, too.
Well, Frostburg has 6 wins, so we're still mathematically in this.
Yeah.
And so we've played every game like it's our next playoff game. So this was playoff win number 2 for us. And we can't control what Frostburg or Mary Washington does other than Mary Washington when we play them. But by winning last Saturday and then winning at Frostburg State, we buy ourselves, another opportunity. Frostburg State's at Salisbury today, so if Salisbury can win at home, then we go into the next to last game still with a chance, and so we've not given up.
Okay, Tony. Good luck on Wednesday against Mary Washington.
Thanks a lot.
And again, final score 83-58. The men a winner over York, and 66-64 the first game as the women were able to knock off York in game number 1. That'll wrap things up here from Southern Virginia University. For Mike Harmon, I'm Jim Bresnahan. Thanks for joining us today.